pretty big hike. So would you get on your feet?
Maybe shake off your dancing feet.
And give it up for Visualizer.
Hype man.
Intentional entrepreneur. Our friend, Anthony Bryant. Get it up, China. Touch the sky.
Keep it up, keep it up. What up? What up? What up? What up? What up? What's good? What's good? Let me turn the computer back on real quick. What's up? What's up? How's everybody doing? Good, good. How's everybody feeling about this Capital One air? It's nice. Got this good oxygen out here at the West Creek. Is that right? West Creek campus. Nice. That's it. That's what I was waiting for. So yeah, my name is Anthony. I am, let's see here. You know, you may know my store, Little Nomad, from such stories from Solange Gate 2017 that hit Richmond like a ton of bricks when Solange came through to my store on my third day open. Unbeknownst to me, which was very cool. People pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for the kind of publicity I got for that. Nice little hour conversation with Solange, so that was very cool. And you may also know Little Nomad Shop from a car running into my store 9 months in. So yeah, that first year it was a little bit of everything. You may also know me from DJing up top at Quirk and DJing at the Brunch Market, and I got some wedding couples in here, and that's really cool. And you know, I got some people who I've known when I started DJing in the building, so that's very cool too. So out at Capital One feels a little bit strange for me. I was driving in. I've been here before. I was here 2014, 2015, somewhere around there. Interesting little story. I applied for a job. I just had my second kid. You know, looking for a new challenge, that kind of thing. And this was like a merchandising the cafes or something like that, something to do with that, when the cafes just started popping off. And so 3 months and 7 interviews later, I was told that they were not going forward with that position. Thank you, have a good day. So if anybody that works here at Capital One, if that is code for anything, like, feel free to pull me aside and let me know. I've been trying to work through that situation this whole time, so yeah, I think everything turned out okay though. So, very interesting. When they told me, when Michelle and Lindsay told me it was going to be at Capital One, I had to do it. I came to them, I was asking them basically, hey, I could play music out in the lobby at one of your creative mornings. And they're like, no. You're going to get up stage and you're going to talk about your life. So basically, here we are. So fortunately, I got flow that kind of goes with both of my worlds. Which is very cool. So as a DJ, I'm always, you know, doing that crowd participation kind of thing. How's everybody feeling about flow? Is everybody in flow right now? Anybody feeling good about their flow? Feeling positive about their flow? Okay. Some people trying to find their flow right now? Okay, yeah, I got some nods. Anybody out there who is like, what the hell is flow? And that's okay, we're not here to judge. I was having a conversation with my wife Nora, and we were kind of bantering back and forth about this topic, and it was only for a few minutes. My wife was just basically like, you know, I don't even know what flow means anyway. And it's like she just dropped the mic and bounced out of the room on me. And I was like, okay, all right. So that got me thinking, like, what is flow? What does flow mean to me? So for me, it's kind of like, the best way to describe it is like that invisible string that the universe has on you. And it's kind of like taking you to where, you know, it thinks that you should go. Sometimes it could be, if you're a sports person, it's referred to as being in the zone. Any new grandparents, any new parents in the house that have seen Moana, you'll probably know that Flo is like that little piece of water that's like always beside Moana when she's on her little ship. It's like, no, girl, we got you. You know, you're gonna finish this journey. Like, don't worry, you're on the right path. So that's kind of a Flo as well. So I feel like flow is harmony and alignment. It's a deliberate and sustained focus. And those are kind of little spacey, hippy-dippy kind of ways to describe it. But when I use words like harmony and alignment, it's not about like rose petals and hopscotch and all the things going exactly as you planned. It's about an unwavering belief that you are moving in the right direction. And like Jolinda already spoke about, on the CreativeMornings site, they quote the author that theorizes that people are happiest when they're in a state of flow. And I agree with that, but I think happiness can look and feel many different ways. And so basically what I'm about to get into is my story of finding flow was basically the recognition of my true self. So for me, I've basically known what I've wanted to be for a really long time. I'm not sure if that resonates with anybody, but I've known from like very early on. My youth was filled with ideas of like how I could make money and just buy what I wanted. I was a consumer from day one. I had quite the obsession for fluorescent hacky sacks, and I just didn't. I wanted to forego mom and dad and just do it myself. That was also around the time that I had found hip hop. There's this movie called Breakin', and I was, yeah, that's it. That's the one. You're gonna hear this music pop in every now and again. So Turbo and Ozone and Kelly too, but Turbone, AKA Boogaloo Shrimp, he was the one that really I truly resonated with. I had to be this guy. I felt that this individual was me. So like the next day, I just talked about not asking my mom for anything, but I was very adamant that I needed to be Turbo. So I told her that we needed to go to the mall. I had to get parachute pants. I had to get my two-tone denim. I had to get my cropped sweatshirts. I think my belly button was exposed most of the time during 1985. So, you know, the main thing about that, you know, some of those childhood memories pass for some, but for me, those were that entrepreneurial mindset, and this culture, this wonderful, wonderful culture of hip hop that has given me so much are things that just continue to drive me. So we're stepping into a new world right now. Shout out KRS. Cool. So I started spinning and getting serious about the retail biz around the same time. My next door neighbor Tyrone had been a DJ for a few years, and each time he would come home from college, I would bolt directly to his house, basically absorbing everything I could. The wall-to-wall records, all the milk crates thrown everywhere, the equipment taking up all of the room, Tyrone's mother yelling at us from downstairs to turn down that music. It was incredible. It was like heaven. And at the same time, I was attending Virginia State University. What up, Trojans? Where you at? Where you at? And I also worked at this store called Up Against the Wall. Okay. Nice. We have some over 40s in the house. Nice. Yes. So if you don't know what Up Against the Wall was, it was basically like hip hop fashion mecca. Sean John, Nautica, Fat Farm, Versace, all that good stuff. And if we have any Richmonders that were in the house during that 90s, mid to late 90s, you'll know it was a different kind of Richmond. We're talking about like crack capital of the world. This was like when crack was the Capital One of Richmond. So its employees were the ones that were shopping at Up Against the Wall. So again, it was heaven. It was heaven. I had created this perfect world. I was being thrown into the fire with Tyrone to spin at these college parties. Boom. And there's supposed to be music there, but that's okay. Little go-go, little junkyard band. So this is kind of the world that I was in. So I'm being thrown into the fire. And let me tell you, there is no better way to become a good DJ than to have to DJ at black fraternity and sorority parties, because they will let you know about you and your skill set very fast. So I was doing that, not knowing what the hell I was doing, and I also was getting this hands-on experience about running this business that I felt like I was kind of into. And since that time, my closest friends have been artists, and I watched them utilize their talents to pay the bills and live the way in which they saw fit. And watching them do their thing got me thinking, like, man, like, wouldn't this be cool, like, if I could DJ for a living and have my own shop? And it was like, I was like, whatever. That's ridiculous. That doesn't happen to me. And so I just pushed it away and really tucked it way back. So it was one of those things, it was just kind of like a pipe dream. I had no idea at that time how one opened a store. And at that time, the DJ was not what it is now. So I started to excel in both worlds, and big time in DJing. I had a radio show and I was playing in a band and playing out like 3-4 times a week. This was my first conscious introduction to flow. The more I put into my craft, the more time I spent at Kiko's making tapes and, practicing and all of that stuff, the more I seemed to get out of it. And once I finally realized that that was happening, it scared the hell out of me. And so, my daughter thinks I'm cussing up here. So it scared me. It scared me. I didn't know what to do with it because, again, this is just supposed to be some unattainable dream that I have. So what did I do? I fought it. I sabotaged it. I did everything I could to not make it work. Kind of cloaked in, again, thinking back to that time frame, I'm keeping it real, I'm just doing this for the love, that kind of thing. And meanwhile, while I'm doing this, I am playing music alongside like great full-time DJs at that time, like DJ Scribble and Babito Garcia. So I'm able to see this actually be a reality if I chose for it to be. The retail world was a little bit different. I came with ideas and rarely asked for permission to execute those ideas. I just did it. And unfortunately for me, that doesn't always go over too well. My thought process was that if I'm the one at the store on the daily basis, if I'm the one in the community, I see our shoppers every day, then obviously I know what works best. I took visual and operational liberties and had a real panache for questioning authority. My little Moana wave had me on a path that I was not ready to go on. So basically I decided to disassemble my boat and head to good old corporate America, simply because the dream was too close and it just felt too real. But it never left. I had a new objective now. That's what I told myself. I wanted to amplify my skill set. I wanted to create a new challenge and infiltrate this world because this is what I thought I should be doing. Cue music.
Doing it right now.
So that's what I did.
You're not saying you're gonna get it.
Basically, I knew I could do it. It's interesting when that confidence kind of pops up out of you. You're fully, confident of doing one thing, but this other thing, you're like, absolutely not. So I felt it was an important step for me because as a young black man, no, that's way off. So as a young black man, I thought it was important for me to position myself in these spaces and these places that you rarely see us. And that's kind of where I was at that time. I felt like I was representing, AKA leading by example. This was a responsibility I put on myself, that I still put on myself. But at the same time, in this new world, I was miserable. So now I'm at a point where I'm subconsciously counterflowing. I didn't know it at the time. That more came to me like when I was looking back on the situation. I was still tiptoeing around my true self. I was still at these jobs that would probably help me when I decide to start the business, and I continue to reason with myself while all these skills that I learned will be so valuable when it's time. That thing that a lot of creatives tell themselves, I'll know the right time, I'll know when to start this project. So then I found a job where I could create and run a business as if it were my own. Still tiptoeing, but this time it was a little different. I was a visual manager for Urban Outfitters for close to a decade. They pulled me in with all the buzzwords, for somebody like me. Independent, business owner, come with your own ideas, all of that stuff. So I took it in, I was home. It was great. So this was basically running a business without the ownership pitfalls. And for me, being at Urban was like getting my bachelor's in retail and my master's in business management. And now I felt like I had everything that I needed. And so basically this is Homecoming by Kanye, Chicago, this whole thing. I needed one final piece to the puzzle. And that final piece to the puzzle was Barack Obama. Yeah, exactly. Give it up. So this dude had me real hype. He had me real hype. And Barack, basically, that last piece of the puzzle was belief. Belief that dream from, 10 years ago was actually feasible. So I finally got serious about owning a business. I read so many books. If I wasn't watching Days of Our Lives in the break room, I was at Barnes & Noble. I was at Barnes & Noble reading everything I could get my hands on about how to start a business, how to run a business, all of that good stuff. My first time out, I had an idea for a men's shop called the Milk Crate Company. And again, combining those worlds with milk crates have been a mainstay in my life for a very long time. So, Barack, I'm all like, yes, I can. Yes, I can. I start writing the business plan. I start traveling. I start to research boutiques. I start location hunting, saving money, all that good stuff they tell you in those books. But there was only one problem. It was 2008. And America was not very cool in 2008. Exactly. So it's not an ideal time to ask the bank for a lollipop, let alone a business loan. But I did not care. Barack was just too instilled in me. I had done everything they said to do within this handbook. So it's like, I'm reading it, it's like, you do ABC, this is going to be your Z in the outcome. So I was unfazed. I went in and I got rejected. So I was very much deflated, but Obama, why not? So time passes and I'm more seasoned. I have more knowledge about the city, better understanding of how to get funding, so I try again. I go to 2 more national banks, no. Go to economic development department, no. I go to the minority business. I didn't even get a call back from minority business. And I finally get a lifeline from a local bank in the same area that I wanted the store located. praying that this time was the last time I would have to interview for this. All this bank needed from me was a letter of intent. Everything else went splendid. Just needed that letter of intent from the landlord to say that, yes, I have secured a space for this business. I go back to the bank and they're like, yeah, it's gonna be a no for us, dog. So I spent this $1,100 on this piece of paper, non-refundable. And that's Lost Ones right there by Lauryn Hill. So I just lost another one trying to figure out what happened. You know, I start questioning myself and my flow. Was this supposed to happen? Am I on my true journey? You know, is this something that I still need to pursue? So even when you try as creatives, our brains have a hard time with shutting off. And after taking a step back, I felt more ideas were just coming to me. And so I would write them down and you know, hopes of maybe using one day. And it was a special time in my life as my wife and I started to have a family. And being around them and being around our friends' families, I drew more inspiration. Richmond's landscape was changing, and I felt it was a great opportunity to tell a new story of what a kid's shop could be. So unbeknownst to friends, I would do focus groups when we got together. Sorry about that, sorry. I'd gather information, I would collect all of the data that they would say. And I knew this idea had real traction when I once again brought together my two worlds and threw a kids' dance party. So that was basically just an idea of getting everyone together and seeing my target customer, if they were really here, you know, would they be into this idea? I took that leap of faith you hear folks talk about. It started with a meeting with some brilliant business owners for a fashion show I had been asked to DJ. I couldn't believe it. I was at a meeting in the middle of the day for my services. There it is. That's Ladies First by Queen Latifah and Moni Love. I was surrounded by these women who were killing it, and I was in awe of them. The only time I spoke was when someone asked me a question. Fellas, take note. Take note of that. After that, I was like, yep, here we go, and away we went. So I've been DJing nonstop for the past 3 years, and Little Nomad is almost 2.5 years old. Hey, yeah. So one of the things that really I had to change is I had to work on a major shortcoming of mine to get these things rolling, and that was self-discipline. I had to block out all the outside noises. I think we talked about that earlier. My beloved Liverpool Football Club, I had to let go for a minute. NPR, politics, hanging out, social media. Fortunately for me, my phone was cracked at that time and it required stitches after every use. So that was kind of easier. But I had to let all of it go. My mind was clear and my intent was very focused. The speed bumps from previous attempts of opening a store were met with a more savvy and youthful approach, which came by crowdfunding. I had to do an Indiegogo. And I lost my place. Yeah, so this Indiegogo definitely got me out of my comfort zone. I had to tell my story to the masses and not just one or two people sitting behind this desk at this outdated bank. It was horrifying. It was something new to me. I had to tell my story, you know, to more people, some people that I knew, some people that I didn't know, that I didn't know. But I think it was important because I had to put those ideas out into the universe and make it a little more real than like a graphic and then a break-even analysis and a business plan. And so now here we are. People ask me, did I celebrate when we opened and did I pop bottles? That was Tribe Called Quest Award Tour. And I didn't celebrate, I got directly to work. I tried to celebrate as much as I could during the process because I knew it was different this time. I just really felt that it was different. I noticed these little details just dropping right into place like they hadn't before. I felt like I had rebuilt my ship and my little Moana wave was still there just waiting to take care of me. And so looking back, the majority of my story is about resisting my flow. And the Capital One story I told earlier really helped me change that. I saw how continuing to go against myself was negatively impacting not only me, but my family. And the most important thing I did through this whole time of trying to find this flow, trying to find this right path to go on, was I really had to have a heart-to-heart with myself. Basically asking myself, like, who are you right now? Are you gonna still continue to tip-tap between both of these worlds, or are you really gonna identify with who you are as this entrepreneur who has different skill sets, Going forward, what do you want? What don't you want? And are you prepared with your entire being to make it all happen? And so finally, I was all in on me, and all in on my ideas. So that's my story. That's what I have to say. I think your flow, I think it's one of those things, we touched on earlier. It's like you really need to be conscious of what you're doing and let all of that other stuff go and really have faith that this is a project, this is a life, that this is going to work for you. So that's all I got, y'all. I appreciate it. Thanks for listening.
We got time for questions.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
So we have some time for questions. We have a couple more minutes. Anybody have one? Okay.
What role did love play along this journey for you?
Love? Oof, man.
Ooh,
Love
juicy question.
Love is the foundation of the whole thing. I mean, the love and the respect I have for the culture. Most people, you don't see many people DJing for like 25, 26 years and taking the path with it that I've taken. So that is out of love, and that is out of respect for my forefathers that, came before me. So that was a huge love. Running out and asking my mom to buy me all of those clothes, like that just doesn't happen, just because, that was something that was in me. I had love for fashion, for how one expresses him or herself, so that was basically the foundation. Love is these guys over here, and I really need them to know that you can do what you want to do as long as you're, true to yourself. So that's probably the biggest part of it.
Hi there. Oh
Hi.
gosh. Okay. Sorry, that was louder than I anticipated. My question is, will you make a playlist of your sound cues from today's talk?
You got it.
Thank you.
Yes, yes.
Absolutely, we'll share it.
Hi.
Hi.
So I know it's really hard to start a new business when you have a full-time job.
Yes.
And I heard recently that the cure for exhaustion is actually not rest, it's wholeheartedness. And really throw yourself into something, so after work to really put yourself there. So I was wondering, what gave you the willpower after work, or when you had extra time? Like, how did you light the fire under your ass to make it
I mean,
happen.
it's real hard when you got
Yeah.
2 kids, you know,
I bet.
and the jobs. I think that's where that focus, and you'd be amazed the time that you have when you don't sleep, but also like when you take away those other things, like all of that other stuff is not necessary. Like I realize the time that I'm wasting, and I still realize that. And I beat myself up about it, but we have more time than we think. It's more so how we utilize it. So I scared myself into making this time. I was like, somebody's going to do this if I don't do it. So you better do it now. And so that's basically, all right, I'll take that. So I just took everything away and I just kept blazing forward, like day and night, any opportunities that I had. Like if I was on break, I would do something. And that didn't always go over well because it does spill over. It does spill over sometimes. And this, I gave y'all the nice version of the, of the story. You know, there were definitely bumps and bruises along the way, but it was a true focus to get this done. And I felt like I wasn't gonna get it done if I wasn't going to commit to it. For those of us who don't have millions of dollars behind us to get our goals and dreams out there, we have to counter that with the work that is put in. So it's really like that, let's get real. Let's get real. You wanna do it or not? So that's basically what it was.
Okay. All right, thank you, Anthony.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you.